2022 is Scotland's Year of Stories. The e-Sgoil story is very much a work in progress, with new chapters being written on a daily basis. It begins in 2015 on the island of Barra at the southern end of the Outer Hebrides island chain, just off the west coast of Scotland. The island school, with a roll of just 150 learners aged 5 to 18, had a group of senior pupils studying higher maths, but had no maths teacher. The acute lack of specialist teachers is a problem common to many schools, particularly in rural locations. However, there was some available teaching capacity within the local authority area, albeit 150 miles and 4 islands to the north. One brave person suggested, let's try some video conferencing to keep teaching going until a long-term solution can be found. And it worked. The learners responded to the challenge and did well in their final exams. So we thought, what if we used this approach more strategically to address some of the imbalances in teacher availability and the resulting choices available to learners?
A Victorian school building in Stornoway, the largest town in the Outer Hebrides, became the headquarters for what has now developed into the national e-learning service e-Sgoil, which is Gaelic for e-school. Our focus is live, interactive, online learning, using technology to overcome barriers and bring the best educational experiences to learners across Scotland. The Gaelic name is not lip service to Scotland's national language. The development and interconnectedness of language, culture, community, curriculum, and critically economic opportunity, or corum in Gaelic, has been at the heart of e-Sgoil's development. And what about the E? We all recognise it to stand for electronic, but also E can at times stand for exhausting, exhilarating, exasperating, and so on. But most importantly, E is for equity. Tackling poverty of educational opportunity has been and continues to be the main driver for everything e-Sgoil does. Angus McLennan, head teacher at e-Sgoil, takes up the story.
e-Sgoil, the brainchild of Bernard Chisholm, ex-Director of Education at Cornwall and Shear, started in August 2016 with 2 members of staff, a computer and a blank canvas. The initiative secured financial backing from the Scottish Government, the Northern Alliance, which is a regional improvement collaborative comprising Scotland's 8 most northerly local authorities, and Portna Gaelic, the National Gaelic Development Agency. Initially, e-Sgoil was designed as a local solution to a local problem. Our challenge was to find innovative ways of removing barriers and make the educational offer across the Outer Hebrides more equitable. For example, there was huge disparity between the number of courses young people in the most southerly school in our island group could study, compared to the wide range of courses on offer to young people in the biggest school in the north. Moreover, the traditional curricular offer was not serving the needs of young people and their communities well, as it was resulting in a brain drain towards the mainland year on year. There was a clear and urgent need to repurpose what the schools and partner agencies provided to make the educational offer more relevant and equitable. Reforming this offer by putting equity at the centre and progression pathways into employment as its first component became a priority. We then looked to the potential of our distinctive Gaelic language, culture and environment as economic assets, and how we could design provision related to those to underpin our local communities and economy. The final piece in the equation was an ongoing attempt to widen the range of courses and qualifications available to all pupils in the curriculum across the islands, irrespective of geography and other considerations. Learners' voice and local labour market intelligence are now driving what is becoming a flexible and adaptable curricular offer. It goes without saying that learner choice will increase engagement, and improved engagement should result in better attainment and achievement. In terms of planning, 2 things were central to achieving our aims. Firstly, by keeping a focus on improving equity, it was difficult for anyone to argue against the proposals. Secondly, we kept the focus on learners and labour market intelligence, as opposed to institutions. The main barriers to driving this agenda forward were staffing, first and foremost availability, and then flexibility. Cost. Funding is always limited, and inefficiency in terms of the class sizes we were able to organise. Technology, both in terms of inequity, in terms of access to hardware, and variety of platforms in use. Timetabling, rigidity and antiquity, and the lack of harmonisation and the school day constrained between 9 and 4 p.m. Mindset is one of the greatest obstacles to overcome, not that of young people, but of the adults in their lives, whether they be parents or teachers. A further physical barrier, the classroom wall, has to be broken down, whether it be through the use of IT, place-based learning, partnership delivery, or outdoor education. The steps we at e-Sgoil took to remove such barriers were fairly straightforward. Initially, we drew up an outline proposal and sought funding. We used GLOW, Scotland's national schools intranet, as the delivery mechanism. This guarantees equity and accessibility to every single learner and teacher in Scotland, as they have the right and the ability to use it, and it's free, courtesy of the Scottish Government. We established and trained a core team of teachers in live interactive online pedagogy, and we dared to take the route of innovation and indeed opportunism at times to prove concepts. We closed the circle in terms of asking learners constantly for feedback, what went right, and more importantly, what went wrong. We adapted and adopted when we saw good practice elsewhere, and we're not too proud to admit shortcomings, seek advice and learn from others. On that front, we worked very closely indeed with Education Scotland to ensure that our offer was the right one and of the right quality. Finally, we capitalised on the COVID crisis, as we happened to be in the right place at the right time. The scope and the scale of e-Sgoil has grown exponentially over the past year, and there is real potential to develop it into a national provision with help from key partner agencies such as Education Scotland, the Northern Alliance, SILT, Keep Scotland Beautiful, West Online School and others, of which you will hear more later. We started as one small local authority looking at broad equity issues for all young people, but we're now, through collaboration with these other organisations, increasing our ability to offer more individualised, tailored support to learners across the country, whatever their needs, be it interrupted learners or visual sign language for learners with hearing impairment. e-Sgoil's approach throughout has been simple, pragmatic and based on common sense, and an obsessive determination to remove barriers that impede the equity of curricular offer for learners across Scotland. If there is a will to remove barriers, there are definitely ways, as you're about to hear.
As Angus said, e-Sgoil originated as a local solution to a local problem, but which is common to many places, an acute teacher shortage. The maths example on the Isle of Barra proved to us that live online teaching can work and work effectively. So we widened provision to other locations in the islands.
I'm delighted to have announced £550,000 worth of Scottish Government investment in the e-Sgoil project here in the Western Isles, which will help to deliver learning by digital communication to the schools throughout the Western Isles, but it also has the capacity to deliver education in other parts of Scotland. And although the project initially involves Argyll and Bute, Highlands, Orkney, Shetland and the Western Isles, I don't want to have such limited horizons. I want to make sure that here from the Western Isles we're able to lead the process of educational delivery across Scotland, to be pioneers in the delivery of new ways of ensuring learning is available to young people throughout Scotland.
With this endorsement, more strategic growth followed to address issues of geographical inequality, with requests for teaching coming in from around Scotland, from schools struggling to fill posts with local specialist supply teachers.
We are a very small rural school based in East Ayrshire. For a while, we had a member of staff off long-term sick and we were unable to fill the post through supply. We weren't able to get a subject specialist in. So I was absolutely delighted when I reached out to e-Sgoil and they were able to provide us with a subject specialist who could deliver virtually to our young people in the senior phase. They offered online sessions three times a week, delivering virtually via Teams to our pupils, which was an absolutely fantastic opportunity for our young people to continue with the work they'd already been doing and ensure they didn't fall behind in the absence of their teacher. We were then faced with a similar situation at the end of term when our music teacher was going off on maternity leave, and again we were unable to fill the post. So again, e-Sgoil were able to offer us a member of staff to deliver virtually to the senior pupils who had already started the course. For us, this was particularly beneficial because the young people had already began their course, they were nearly halfway through, and we didn't want them not to be able to continue with the work that they'd already done. We're absolutely delighted the online facilities there is available for schools, and it means that where we're maybe not able to get a subject specialist in the building in front of young people, this is the next best alternative. And for many of our young people, they particularly like engaging in online learning. Maybe if they've been out of school themselves for a period of time, being able to access online has been a fantastic opportunity for them.
This development across local authorities aligned with and arose from the Northern Alliance e-learning workstream and enabled the creation of a distributed management team to coordinate the increasing scope and geographical spread of e-Sgoil's work. We are indebted to the brave leadership of the Alliance, who took a leap of faith to create the conditions to allow the e-Sgoil project to flourish. You can hear more from the Northern Alliance on brave leaders when they talk with Michael Fullan elsewhere in the Summit programme.
Another key approach is looking to external expertise to help us challenge the barrier of the classroom wall. Building strategic partnerships with organisations such as Scotland's National Centre for Languages, the environmental charity Keep Scotland Beautiful, the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland, and the Confucius Institute for Scottish Schools has enabled us to expand and enrich the range of educational experiences we could offer.
I'm Bruce Robertson. I'm a visiting professor at the University of Strathclyde, and I've been involved with e-Sgoil since its inception. It has been a huge success and made a huge difference to a whole set of learners and educators right across Scotland. Why is that? I think for a start, the use of fairly simple, easily accessible technology is a winner. The fact that the basic principle of e-Sgoil is that there should be a live online teaching where the educators can relate directly with the learners. That's been a huge success. In addition, however, e-Sgoil has managed to expand and diversify the curriculum that schools are able to offer their young people. And they cannot do that on their own, but with the help of e-Sgoil and indeed the national agencies that work closely with e-Sgoil, there is a far more diverse curriculum than ever before. It has breadth, it has depth, and it has quality. And we know it has quality. We know from assessments, we know from the qualifications that the learners obtain, but perhaps more importantly, we know from feedback, the direct feedback we get from learners, from parents, from teachers and educators, that it's hugely successful and very, very appealing. So working in partnership, working beyond the boundaries of the school gate, if you like, and there should be no boundaries with this, learners are getting far better opportunities. But it's not just about the young people, it's also about the teachers and educators, because through the use of e-Sgoil, we have seen professional learning completely flipped. Previously, the traditional approach to professional learning was that teachers and educators would actually come to a centre, and in Scotland, normally that centre would be in Edinburgh or Glasgow. Now we have professional learning going straight in to the school, or indeed straight in to the educator or teacher's home. We have seen a very, very significant rise in the number of teachers who are actually undertaking professional learning through e-Sgoil. For example, the National Centre of Languages has seen huge increases in the numbers, and Keep Scotland Beautiful, with its Climate Ready Classroom programme, has seen similar successes as far as professional learning is concerned. So I think there are key legacy elements from what's happened over the last few years, not just actually during lockdown, but lockdown was a pivotal moment for e-Sgoil. And the key legacy arrangements for me are, number one, the breadth, depth, and quality and outcome of the curriculum for children and young people. And number two, the access to professional learning on a much easier, accessible, and high quality framework that we can do now, rather than the previous traditional approaches. e-Sgoil has a long way to go, but we have the success to build on, and I am sure that we will see further expansion. No longer will a school be constrained by what it can do on its own. Such are the legacies of the success of e-Sgoil over the last few years that I think this has to be taken globally. We have completely changed our approach to curriculum planning. We have completely changed our approach to professional learning, planning and delivery. And this is something that globally needs to be reviewed. Success can build on success, and we would be very, very happy to share our ideas, our thinking, our research with other educators, with other education authorities and professionals right across the world, because there's a huge amount to learn from this and a lot of sharing that's possible as a consequence of the success.
At Scotland's National Centre for Languages, we promote and support language learning all across the country, primarily in schools, but also in the wider community. And we are part of the University of Strathclyde. We're a centre in the School of Education here in Glasgow.
We have worked closely in partnership with e-Sgoil, and that has really benefited the learners and all stakeholders that we work with. It has benefited them in terms of reach. We have been able to reach out to many more schools right across Scotland and learners. It has helped with the internationalisation agenda. It has helped schools to maintain that outward-looking ethos. We have supported home learning through teaching beside our colleagues in e-Sgoil right throughout lockdown in order to ensure continuity of learning. Face-to-face learning is something that is very important in language learning, in all learning, but particularly when learning languages. And so our partnership with e-Sgoil has allowed us to sustain this throughout the most challenging of times.
And what we've learned is here to stay. Digital learning, online live streamed classes are now becoming increasingly the norm, and we want to take what we've learned from this great collaboration between ourselves and e-Sgoil to make sure that we can increase our offer, increase our reach to children and young people and to teachers, even in very remote communities or island communities. And we can, as a result of this collaboration, support and enrich the learner experience of the curriculum, offering languages, for example, that otherwise we would not be able to do. We would not be able to offer. So we've been able to offer languages such as Arabic and Mandarin, for example, and to great effect, and to really enhance children and young people's experience of learning a language.
Long before COVID interrupted learning for everybody, a significant number of young people were unable to attend school for a variety of mental and physical health reasons. Recognising that an online environment can enable young people to join a supportive learning community from their safe space, on their terms, a live interactive curriculum for interrupted learners was launched. While still at an early stage, e-Sgoil, as this programme is called, is proving to be transformative for young people, some of whom had completely disengaged from learning.
I've been in e-Sgoil for over a year now. e-Sgoil is brilliant because it helps me continue my education even when I'm not in school. The teachers and all the other pupils are all really nice and friendly, and I feel very comfortable there. The lessons are all fun, and I've learned lots of new things, ranging from how to write a good rhetorical poem to learning to speak some Italian. I have loved learning about the Vikings, especially about where they lived and making our own Viking artifacts. Everyone is really supportive of each other in e-Sgoil, no matter what situation they're in, making the classroom an enjoyable place to be. To any interrupted learners who are nervous joining e-Sgoil, there's no need to be. When I started e-Sgoil, I was really nervous too, but now it's helped grow my confidence. It's an amazing place to be, and I won't change anything about my experience. Overall, my education has been made so much better by e-Sgoil, and I would like to give a giant thank you to everyone involved.
e-Sgoil has really helped me in many ways. I can now get an education, and not being able to go to formal education doesn't hold me back anymore. I get a lot more input than I ever did, and I've really been learning a lot. e-Sgoil makes it so easy to learn online and join classes and just learn without unnecessary stress that might come from class and things like that. The teachers are all so nice and really helpful and always listen to your questions. My favourite thing about e-Sgoil so far has been the chances I've been able to have. To do an online work experience and see how an event is put together online and the tasks that need to be done. This really taught me a lot about the world of work and helped me see the things I am able to do myself. I can easily ask for help without any stress and be better understand the work and submit tasks easily. And it just helps me enjoy learning and is, in my opinion, a much better way to learn. And if anyone is probably anxious about joining e-Sgoil, I don't think you should be, because there's lots of options. So if you don't want to use the camera or not use like the microphone in class, then you can use the chat function where you can ask questions from your teacher and share files and react to posts that the teacher might put up. And it's just a lot less stressful than asking questions like, for instance, in a class. So there's lots of options for people that are maybe a bit anxious about it. But everyone's kind of in the same boat, so there really isn't anything to worry about. And the teachers are always happy to help and always ready to answer your questions. And e-Sgoil just gives you a better view of what school can be and teaches you a lot.
Back in 2016, the then Deputy First Minister, John Swinney, had noted that the potential impact of e-Sgoil should not be constrained by limited horizons. In early 2020, the most widespread barrier to education experienced in our lifetime impacted learning and teaching everywhere. The COVID-19 pandemic presented an opportunity to demonstrate what could be achieved. Working with the now established strategic partnership, e-Sgoil responded.
Education Scotland has had a strong partnership with e-Sgoil since it was established in 2017 and was therefore able to adapt to the change needed when COVID and the pandemic set in. We were able to change the direction and to increase our pace in 2020. e-Sgoil and the newly set up West Online School, with its focus on recorded learning resources, became key partners in what is called the National e-Learning Offer that we've continued to develop and expand today. e-Sgoil and Education Scotland staff have worked together to support the expansion, design and delivery of an age 3 to age 18 offer, the live element of the National e-Learning Offer, as requested by the Scottish Government's COVID Education Recovery Group. Staff from across our teams work together alongside e-Sgoil and West OS colleagues. Together, we innovate, develop and expand offers to flexibly meet the many needs of learners across all sectors. And we crucially do this with educators and with children and young people. We support and advise, ensuring the National e-Learning Offer aligns with Scotland's curriculum and is underpinned with the values of social justice, well-being, equity and equality. We design the offer to be needs-led, rights-based and inclusive for all learners from across Scotland's education system. Education Scotland also provides technical supports to ensure that our national intranet, GLOW, allows the registration required for e-Sgoil delivery. And many members of Education Scotland staff with a teaching background are trained to facilitate learning and to be on standby to teach when needed. Three interdependent requirements were constantly in play as this 3 to 18 live programme was being developed and made available. They were, number one, the design, content and pedagogy of the curriculum we put on offer. Number two, the availability and skills of staff. And number three, the technical capability to deliver using GLOW, the intranet. COVID-19 has resulted in a quick and dramatic upskilling of educators in not only providing e-learning, but considering how these offers can work to meet the needs of learners wherever they are. And as we look forward, we need to take the many positive lessons learned from our national e-learning offer and consider how these can be further developed to positively impact on the future of education in Scotland.
COVID-19 required for e-Sgoil to be agile and adaptable. Drawing on previous experience of delivering to aggregated cohorts and with support from Education Scotland, we worked quickly to scale up a wide-ranging national programme of interactive learning experiences to complement the work being done by local schools and settings.
Education Scotland and e-Sgoil worked together in partnership to design and facilitate the 3 to 18 programmes. One example of this is Doug's Discovery Den, e-Sgoil's multimedia offer for our youngest learners.
The approach aims to engage our youngest learners with an interesting range of cross-curricular online and real-life experiences. Doug's Discovery Den uses a platform called ThingLink on e-Sgoil's website, and it offers young children an interactive collection of activities to inspire further learning and exploration beyond the screen. It's designed to be accessible for use within any setting, childcare or home environment, and it's available in both Gaelic and English. The activities encourage real-life play, movement, songs, stories, dance and outdoor interactions and experiences. It's underpinned by the principles of Realising the Ambition Being Me, which is the national practice guidance for early years here in Scotland. Doug is also a real-life mascot who travels around the country each week visiting children in nurseries, homes and schools across all our local authorities. Doug has his own Twitter account too, to let his followers track his adventures at Being Me with Doug.
Arguably, senior phase learners studying national qualifications have been impacted the most by COVID.
My journey with e-Sgoil started at the very beginning of the pandemic, when our educational opportunities were limited and we were sent home. e-Sgoil put in place daytime and evening study support classes for all of my subjects, which were an incredible addition to my educational opportunities. The supports were constructed of webinars, which were live lessons and were available to students all over the country. And from a student perspective, the wealth of education that was given to us from such webinars was fascinating, and it had a huge impact on my learning, and it gave me a sense of hope and a bit of resilience to the pressures that was faced with me during the pandemic.
Learners from every local authority area in Scotland, a total of nearly 17,000 registrations in academic year 2020 to 21, were received for the 60 certificated course options, showing the appetite for support out with the school day. Access to IT and internet permitting, e-Sgoil's study support programme is well placed to tackle inequalities inherent in the traditional model of tutoring provision, whether private or public. As a free resource open to all, which young people themselves register for, the programme empowers and enables learners to independently influence their own outcomes. It is also heartening to see that learners have been quick to help one another, with e-Sgoil providing the opportunity for peer-to-peer support.
Being a student with e-Sgoil has offered me experience in areas which I'd never have had access to if it wasn't for that opportunity. For example, fluency in technical areas such as working with Microsoft Teams and being in an online environment for working, and that's made me feel prepared for the world of work and indeed further education, and I'm sure many other students could say the same.
e-Sgoil programmes develop in learners essential digital skills, independence and the ability to learn collaboratively. It became obvious in early 2020 that there was an opportunity to build on external partnerships and create a programme specifically focused on work readiness, skills and career inspiration, enabling learners to meet employers and industry experts from all over the country at the very time when access to such opportunities were closed off due to the pandemic. The country at large was shutting down while e-Sgoil was opening up a world of possibilities. Working with the Scottish Government's DYW, or Developing the Young Workforce Initiative, DYW Live was born. In 2021, a total of more than 50,000 engagements with learners were enabled, utilising the network of partners, which by then included more than 50 organisations.
We work to prepare young people for the world of work by connecting them with a network of inspirational role models. When COVID affected schools and caused them to close, e-Sgoil already had an online learning facility in place, which presented an opportunity for us at FRS to continue our work. We have been collaborating with them for over a year now to support teachers in the delivery of career education. The online nature of this means that young people have direct access to a range of speakers from industries that they may not have come across within their local community. We have been able to open their eyes on a global scale and show them that there are opportunities worldwide. And one of the great learnings from lockdown is that technology allows you to connect with people across the world in a way that we didn't think was possible, and that more job opportunities are opening up for people in other countries that young people in Scotland can take up. For us at FRS, the collaboration with e-Sgoil means that we can deliver our work at scale. The delivery network allows us to access schools throughout Scotland, and that means that we are better able to achieve our goal.
The e-Sgoil family, now a large network of specialist teachers and partners, most of whom I've never met in person, continues to grow. Employment opportunities are no longer dictated by local constraints, and the e-Sgoil staff includes many teachers who would otherwise have been lost to the profession, many working from what would have previously been considered remote locations. The periphery is now at the centre.
So I've taught across a number of different of the e-Sgoil provisions, but currently I'm teaching the Senior Phase Study Support Programme and the Interrupted Learners Programme too, which covers all years of secondary school. So I think one of the main benefits for learners for e-Sgoil is accessibility. So the fact that they can have access to kind of courses and staff and resources, regardless of where they are in Scotland and regardless of kind of what's available in their kind of local area. They can join courses, and I've heard from a lot of learners really how much they appreciate that help and the fact that kind of doors have been opened for them that they kind of really didn't think was possible until they joined e-Sgoil. I think personally for me, e-Sgoil has offered me a really flexible way to continue my teaching experience at the same time as raising my young family. And I've been able to do that really without sacrificing the things that I love about my job. Building relationships with young people and working with a really amazing group of colleagues from all across Scotland and beyond, and also developing some really engaging and relevant learning and teaching materials too.
So what next? The pandemic has triggered a seismic shift in people's perception of what school should look like, sound like and feel like. It proved to be a catalyst for innovation. It has put digital on the map and shown the art of what's possible. Reverting back to the status quo is not going to be an option.
e-Sgoil will continue to innovate with agility and opportunism, working with partners and always focused on the learner. As e-Sgoil moves forward, and as times change, the main driver, the original driver, stays the same. E is for equity. And we'll remain committed to removing barriers to learning and widening the curricular offer for all learners, responding specifically to their needs. Greater and critically more meaningful choice leads to greater engagement and motivation, which in turn results in improved outcomes for young people. The
pandemic has illustrated the value of collaboration and how quickly change can be brought about when we focus on the learner. We would love to talk to you about how we can learn from one another and welcome any opportunity to engage with other educators.